Yeah, Mark, I still think there is that wait and see moment. Where is that moment? And look, we thought we got it right away with the win versus Utah. It was like, okay, game one, there it is. Billy Napier comes in right away, gets a win over a Pac-12 favorite, a college football playoff favorite, and it didn't translate anything. The very next week, Florida falls off of a cliff versus Kentucky, and the inconsistent season all throughout. So I still think they're waiting on that moment, Mark. As you said, the ever so important bump class probably wasn't as highly ranked as some prognosticators and maybe what history says it needs to be. And now, a 6-7 season and going into year two where you have a quarterback change, already a defensive coordinator change, but might actually be for the better. They're still waiting for that moment, the aha moment, Mark. And look, Florida could go to Utah week one and go beat Utah again, but then you're always going to fall back to, well, Florida did it game one last year and still finished 6-7. So I think even over a win versus Utah in game one this year, I think fans will still be wait and see mode just because of what happened last year for Florida. So I think, Mark, it's going to be a totality of a season, unless there's some big upset versus Georgia in the middle of the season, or you go on some kind of big run to where, you play in Georgia for all the SEC East marbles or something like that. But more than likely, Mark, it's going to come at the end of the season and see what Florida did versus Utah and Kentucky and Tennessee and LSU and Georgia and Florida State. I mean, there's 16 that is named right there. That's just going to probably determine Florida's schedule. Fans are kind of wait and see mode for what happens in those 6 big games for Billy Napier.
Well, our buddy here, Connor Johnson, after kicking you around for 4 touchdowns in the bowl game, now says even the commentators are better in the SEC. So after a kick in the rear, you get a pat on the back from Connor there.
Thanks, Connor.
David Waters, Gators Breakdown. He's the best covering Florida football. Get on over there. It's right here on YouTube. Gators Breakdown. It's also on your favorite audio platform. David, appreciate you stopping by, man.
Thanks, Mark.